This is Corey McCarthy, and welcome to a new episode of Fit, Formidable, and Fantastic. That's right. Go F yourself, and happy Friday. Now, in this episode, I'm going to do a training-related video. For once, it's probably been a while since I've done one of these, as far as I recall. And as you can tell from the title, this is all about building your wills and your glutes. So, I can say right off the bat, a lot of guys probably aren't going to watch this video due to the title alone. And sadly, I'm actually half serious about that. But however, I do anticipate that there was going to be a heavy female viewership this time around. But whatever the case is, if a powerful and well-developed butt and set of wills are on your goal list, then this is the definitive video for you. Best of all, as you know, I don't just toss out my opinions when it comes to the more research-related videos, but I actually look into the research and the experts of the field, and I compile the data and then deliver it to you on a platter, essentially hand it right over to you. So, let us begin, and definitely have a pen and paper ready for yourself here, because this is going to be pretty detailed. So, let's start off with the part of the thighs that we see the most, and that is the quadriceps. According to EMG studies, the most effective quad building exercise would be the hack squats to a 50 to 90 degree knee angle. So if you can picture that. This was shown to activate the quads by a whopping 120%. The second highest, and something that probably most people thought would be the first highest, was the standard barbell squat, the back squat. And that's to a 70 degree knee angle. And that was shown to activate the quads by 100%. A quick tip on that though, Frank Zane, who is a legendary bodybuilder from the golden era, Google him if you don't know who he is, would place blocks under his heels during squats to better stimulate the quads by elevating the heels a bit. That's just a quick tip for you there you might want to try with your squats to just better isolate those quads. Next up would be the leg press, another common exercise, a very popular exercise, but to a 90 degree knee angle. While they're good, they only really activated the quads by around 95%, so they actually are inferior to both the hack squat and the squat, according to EMG readings. And then lastly, another popular move for the quads would be the leg extensions, but they fall way behind, around approximately 85% activation. So if volume in your workout is a factor for reasons of, recovery or time, etc., perhaps just focus for the quads, focus on just your thighs in general, kicking off your leg workout with your back squats, just your standard squats, and hack squats. And then if you feel like you can do a little more, maybe throw some leg presses in there as well. Next up, we move to the hamstrings. For leg development, and want to note something, these are often forgotten by a lot of lifters, or they're kind of treated like second-class citizens on your body during leg day. But for complete leg development, neglecting these would be akin to basically neglecting your biceps on your arm. They do receive stimulation during squatting and pressing movements for your thighs, but they may never develop to full potential without some direct love and care. And luckily, there has been a lot of recent research into the hamstring specifically, very specific research. Moreover, that you can actually isolate regions of the hamstrings with different exercises. Now, bear in mind that with most body parts, while you can kind of generally aim for a certain region, like the outer head of the biceps, inner head, etc., 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 you still generally hit the entire biceps with those moves. So this is actually kind of interesting that the hamstrings sort of fall outside of that realm of that realm of mechanics. So anyway, moving forward, you can actually isolate regions of the hamstrings with different exercises. So while variety is key in general when it comes to working out, you should always try to aim for variety of angles and movements, etc. This especially holds true for the hamstrings. So in light of the findings, you might want to consider adding at least both the stiff leg deadlift and the lying leg curl to your thigh routine. Why is that? The stiff leg deadlifts are found to activate the upper region of the hamstrings, right where they tie in with the lower glutes. Whereas the lying leg curls, for instance, were found to activate the lower region of the hamstrings. This shows that for full development from top to bottom, you'd want to train both movements. Now, you might be saying, maybe you're saying you don't have a lying leg curl device. Well, improvise. It's okay to get creative in the gym. Who cares what anybody else thinks? A trick that I use is going to a leg extension machine, facing the seat, and doing standing single leg curls in that manner using the leg extension device. Of course, you'd adjust the machine as needed for your body, your height, etc., proper movement and contraction for yourself. If you look down in the description of this video, under the references, you'll see a link to a video demonstrating what I mean by doing a standing leg curl with the leg extension device. That link is actually labeled with an arrow pointing to it, leg curl alternative video. So check that out if you want to see a visual of what I mean. Anyway, according to EMG studies, actually, the lying leg curl and the standing leg curl variations both elicit 100% activation of the hamstrings. So they are rather interchangeable. So let's say your gym doesn't have the lying leg curl, you could do some standing leg curls. Actually, one of my favorite things to do for the hamstrings, and this is brutal, are to superset stiff leg deadlifts with leg curls of some variety, either standing or lying. I actually got this idea again from Frank Zane, who I'd mentioned earlier. This superset kind of smacks them down from both the top to bottom, all in one doubled up movement there, being that it's a superset, and it amps up your training intensity along the way, so it's just got a lot of win right there, a lot of win for you. And according to another study, the stiff leg deadlift ranked up there with the glute ham raises and activation of that region of the hamstrings. So perhaps alternate those two, to get a little variety into your routine. That's just a little food for thought. Let's move forward to the bottom of the legs, the calves. Let's not forget these, or you run the risk of utterly imbalanced looking legs and, of course, injury. I've mentioned it before that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So bear that in mind for the body parts you don't train while everything around it is getting stronger. According to EMG results, the best calf exercise for overall development would be the donkey calf raises, which were shown to activate the calves by 110%. The second best were standing calf raises, which showed 100% activation, but they primarily target the gastrocnemius, which is that upper big bulky portion of your calves. Whereas the seated variety of calf raises are not so good for the gastroc, but due to the knee angle, because you're seated in the bent knee angle, they really hit that soleus, which is that lower portion of your calves that kind of rides up under the gastroc and kind of gives your calves that final full finishing touch. In other words, and also another thing to note too, is keeping your toes pointing forward as opposed to outward or inward supplies the best activation to both the outer and inner sides of the calves, no matter which of those movements you choose to do. So bear that in mind. So how about some finishing touches to the thighs? Perhaps consider adding abductor machine work, also known as the yes machine or the bad girl machine. You can use your imagination as to why, especially if you Google it and see what I mean by this, which when done properly recruit 100% of the abductor muscles or the outer thighs, according to EMG. Now, the adductor, which is the other machine, which is known as the no machine or the good girl machine by its slang terms, works the inner thighs. But those inner thighs are also activated during any wide stance pressing or squatting movements. So if volume and time are factors in your workout, perhaps limit your routine to just direct abductor work and allow your foot stance during your big compound lifts like the squat and hack squat, or even leg press if you add it in, to work the adductor muscles. And while not part of the legs, it still makes sense to include the glutes in a leg session, especially since A, they're activated during leg work, and B, a lot of the female persuasion loves to train both thighs and butt, at least from my gym observations. Anyway, so according to Brett Contreras, who I've mentioned in previous videos, he's known as the glute guy, after all, and according to his experience, his favorite glute exercise is the hip thrust. So if you want to build a solid butt, definitely consider tagging the hip thrust into your routine. So why don't we wrap all this up? What could a solid, complete leg and butt routine actually look like, you might be asking? Well, let me walk you through it really quick. Maybe a few working sets of both the squats and then the hack squat. And then maybe a few working supersets, I emphasize that supersets, of stiff leg deadlifts or glute ham raises along with lying or standing leg curls. That's that superset I mentioned earlier to you that I personally really like. You'll feel it burn really bad and you definitely will feel it the next day. And then beyond that, perhaps work in a few sets of abductor machine work for those outer thighs, and then a few working sets of weighted hip thrusts to round out your glutes, no pun intended. And finally, a few working sets of both the donkey or standing calf raises, then followed by seated calf raises to optimally develop your calves. Now, if you need instructions on how to perform any of these exercises I've mentioned, please refer to Google search or you can use YouTube. And maybe just try to find a reputable channel. You know, try to find somebody who looks like they know what they're talking about. You can usually tell by how they're performing. There's some pretty bad exercise videos out there, and even a beginner would probably be like, whoa, what the fuck? Now, anyway, I do want to note another thing right here. Whatever day you decide to train legs, I would definitely at least put 1 full day's rest between legs and any back work you might do, because being part of that posterior chain, some of the work you do in your back, especially like deadlifts and such, will affect your butt and maybe your upper hamstrings a little bit too. So you definitely want to take that into mind. So maybe schedule your routine where back and legs are at least 24 hours separated. Now anyway, off you go. Work hard and realize your body's genetic potential to building a great set of legs and glutes. If you have anything you want to add or anything you want to ask, please do drop it below in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Monday for a regularly scheduled episode. Until then, stay fit, stay formidable, and stay fantastic. I will see you around.